Welcome to slow fashion, where everything takes 10 times longer than you expect, and the only thing you manage to finish is this video. This was supposed to be that video. The one where we discuss the challenges of working with thrifted fabric, and yet somehow I'm able to miraculously pull out a finished hero garment by the end of the episode. Instead, I have two unfinished garments, and I'm just questioning every life choice that led to this moment. So if you came here for a satisfying reveal this week, sorry bestie, that's just not happening. But if you want the unfiltered reality of what it's like to be an independent designer trying to create sustainably on a deadline, settle in and let's talk about the joys and struggles with only 3 weeks left to create my first ever fashion collection. If you're new here, I'll link the full series so that you can catch up after this episode is over. In the comments section of last week's video, one thing kept coming up over and over, and that was thrifted fabric or leftover textiles being repurposed. I think we all were in agreement the best version of dead stock was always going to be, let's just umbrella term call it, thrifted fabric. It's inexpensive. You might even have some of it in your own linen closet. That's what I'm so excited to be using today for our hero piece. But it also comes with its own nerve-wracking moments. So this is a 1970s sleeping bag I got on something that's like Facebook Marketplace equivalent here in Germany. I have two of them, but my design will use up all of this fabric. It's in such great condition and has this just magical yellow lining, which I think you can tell is a color I'm quite fond of, but it's a one-of-a-kind resource. I can't reorder it. It's perfect for what I'm about to create, but that's one of the things working with thrifted fabric. When you do find something that's exactly what you want, it immediately turns any project or design into what feels like a high stakes endeavor. I really can't screw this up. Do I play it safe and make a toile before I cut into this? Or do I take a deep breath and just trust my instincts and just go for it and hope that I just don't mess it up? What do I do? I'm really gonna need your support on this one. Our first example of to toile or not to toile is something you should be familiar with from the other videos, our modular hoodie concept. This ended up being this first version, the toile, and then I did go ahead and remake all of the pieces in order to have some adjustments to it, but that means I now have to re-sew this whole thing, so I don't know, I might regret it. One thing that redoing this pattern has allowed me to do is to add some details like this shirting kind of placket piece that allows a pleat down the center, and this is gonna add a bunch of drama to the back. In an attempt to speed up the punch needling process, I decided to map out all of the shapes that I wanted to be punch needling, which would allow me to hopefully do it a little bit faster, keep things a little bit more even, and also allow me to see the seam lines from the reverse side, which is the side that I would be punch needling on. And I had kind of just not fully put the piece together because I wanted flat surfaces to be able to punch needle on. If you need a therapeutic outlet stabbing things, 10 out of 10 would recommend punch needling. It's a whole lot of fun. I ended up remaking the hoodie. Was that the smart move? I'll let you make the decision because it ended up meaning that it took me a lot longer. So this is where we're at. I'm punch needling my life away, trying not to stab myself with this little sharp guy. It's going to look so cool when this is done, but that's the reality. Doing some of these more detailed embellishments, having things that are truly unique and one of a kind, when it's just you and I don't have someone I can send it off to punch needle, it takes a lot of time. Hopefully this will be finished at some point, but as much fun as I'm having stabbing this fabric over and over and over, This had to become something that I only do in the evenings so that I actually have time to get to our hero piece and the point of this episode, which is using thrifted fabric to create something incredible. So what do you think? Was the toile the right choice in this instance? Or should I have just gone straight in and fixed that original version, which wasn't the right fabric, and just found a way to make it work? Drop your thoughts below and let me know if your team play it safe or team just go for it. What are we making? This isn't just gonna become a look, it's going to become the look. You know, there's one piece in every collection that just kind of like takes your breath away a little bit, and that's what I was hoping this could be. And so I had designed this asymmetrical floor length dress, but also realized made out of a sleeping bag. And I thought that the horizontal lines would just look really incredible in this kind of geometric shape with potentially some cutouts in different areas. But I'm also keenly aware that who I'm designing for isn't necessarily wearing a ball gown every day. So there is a modular function to it that allows it to become separate. So you'll have this incredible kind of like top thing and then an equally incredible fitted fishtail skirt to go with it. The thing I'm honestly most worried about with this is cutting it out in the fabric, having the lines be able to extend the full length of the pieces, and making sure that I'm just being conservative. I think I only have just enough fabric to make the full piece work. I thought I was going to be able to just cut into it without having tested out the shape first. But I'm realizing on the top of what I'm trying to create, I want the sleeve to be a single piece of the front and to have that beautiful stripe continue down the sleeve. But when I was looking at the piece that I've created before that was similar, the sleeve doesn't quite do the same thing. And I have too many questions. Moral of the story, looking at this, I'm like, if I cut this and it's wrong, I just don't think I can do it. Which is funny because I'm usually somebody who can. Instead of doing a full pattern, what I think I can do is I think I can just kind of wing it on this slightly quilted dead stock fabric. It's not nearly as thick as a sleeping bag, but I can get that sleeve effect that I'm trying to have and then use this as the actual pattern to cut. So I'm not going to fully sew this up. I'm just going to get it to where it needs to be and then use these as the actual pattern pieces. I might screw it up. Let's find out. Not only can I not imagine having tried to do this without a toile, I still managed to screw it up. This is why you don't work on things super late in the evening. I have this front piece cut and then I proceeded to cut the back sleeve the wrong way. So I need to figure out the skirt layout to make sure I actually have enough fabric to recut it. Otherwise I might have to detach the sleeve on the back. One thing I try to do when I'm working with vintage and thrifted textiles is if it has a cool finishing like this, just a nice little edge, I'm gonna try to incorporate that into the piece. I've done this before and it was just such a lovely detail that I try to do that now if I can. It's a really nice way to kind of honor what the textile was before. Both pieces of the skirt done. Now the last thing to do is recut the back since initially I cut it the wrong way. I may not have had a pattern, but anytime I'm doing a single sleeve piece, I always go back to Charles James and look at an arc sleeve pattern, which I think gave me a pretty good foundation for how to do this. That magical feeling when you're like, oh no, it's not gonna fit, and then you sew it and you're like, oh, it's perfect. Perfect! Does the world actually need more fashion? I think anytime we're talking about sustainable fashion, inevitably we get to the horrifying stats. Technically, we have more clothing already than we ever need. So shouldn't that mean that there's no future for me as an independent designer? Well, are you never gonna buy clothes again? You know, next time you have an event or something doesn't fit anymore, you grow out of it, and then you can't find the right thing secondhand, wouldn't you rather be able to buy from an independent designer who asks these questions, who's transparent about their process, and does not overproduce? Or do you still just want only the options that exist now that are contributing to the problem and are just gonna give you clothes that look like everyone else's depending on what the trends are? You deserve beautiful clothing that makes you feel like you, that you know is sustainably and ethically made and that fits and that isn't made of plastic. The sleeve shape is really, really neat, but I need to trust the way I cut it. You can see it's like if it's not properly controlled like this, it throws off the fit of the whole thing. If I change how this lines up, it should actually like push it this way a little bit. So let's see if that works better. When you have a thick foam-filled fabric like this, it's almost like inviting just an extra chaotic element to the mix because it does take up room inside your garment, so it makes the fit a little bit different. And don't even get me started on sewing some of the seams. There are specialized feet you can add to your machine that are designed for quilting that can help you with this. But all in all, I think everything actually works surprisingly well. The seams were coming out really clean. Everything was really straight and turning out kind of, dare I say, the way I was hoping it would. Well, I hate to do this, but I've run out of filming time, and as great as this is looking, I don't want to shortchange this and rush it just so that we can see it this week. It's coming along really beautifully. We're just not quite there yet. I know it sucks to have to wait, but I'm just human and this is a series. And if you're like, Leigh, I'm gonna, let me know in the comments and I'll put together like a short as soon as it's done so that you can get a reveal before next week. I'll prioritize getting that uploaded if that's something that you want. Okay, it's your turn to be my project runway judge. What do you think? Did I make the right decision with this thrifted fabric? Ooh, and more importantly, is there anything super special that you've been able to bring to life from a thrifted material? Drop your stories below. You know I'm reading every single one. We still have 3 more weeks. We're not slowing down. We actually need to speed it up a little bit. More risks, more sustainable fabric choices. In fact, next week we're going to explore another alternative to deadstock and thrifted fabric. There's something else. Hit subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be so worth it. If you want more videos where I'm turning thrifted blankets into high fashion garments, I will link a couple here to check out. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.